The Makarov Pistol or PM is a Russian semi-automatic pistol. Under the project leadership of Nikolay Fyodorovich Makarov, it became the Soviet Union's standard military and police sidearm from 1951 to 1991. Development: the Makarov pistol resulted from a design competition for replacing the Tokarev TT-33 semi-automatic pistol and the Nagant M1895 revolver. Rather than building a pistol to an existing cartridge in the Soviet inventory, Nikolay Makarov took up the German wartime Walther Ultra design, fundamentally an enlarged Walther PP, utilizing the 9A, 18mm Makarov cartridge designed by B.V. Semin in 1946. For simplicity and economy, the Makarov pistol was of straight blowback operation, with the 9A, 18mm Makarov cartridge being the most powerful cartridge it could safely fire. The Luftwaffe had rejected this pistol design some years before because of its poor accuracy. Although the nominal caliber was 9.0mm, the actual bullet was 9.22mm in diameter, being shorter and wider and thus incompatible with pistols chambered for 9A, 19mm parabellum cartridges. In 1951, the PM was selected because of its simplicity, economy, ease of manufacturing, and reasonable stopping power. It remained in wide frontline service with Soviet military and police until and beyond the end of the USSR in 1991. Today, the Makarov is a popular handgun for concealed carry in the United States. Variants of the pistol remain in production in Russia, China, and Bulgaria. In the U.S., surplus Soviet and East German military Makarovs are listed as eligible curio and relic items by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, because the countries of manufacture, the USSR and the GDR, no longer exist. In 2003, the Makarov PM was formally replaced by the Yeragin Fire pistol in Russian service, although as of 2012, large numbers of Makarov PMs are still in Russian military and police service. The Makarov PM is still the service pistol of many Eastern European and former Soviet republics. North Korea and Vietnam also use Makarov PMs as standard-issue pistols. Design: the PM is a medium-size, straight blowback action, frame fixed barrel handgun. In blowback designs, the only force holding the slide closed is that of the recoil spring. Upon firing, the barrel and slide do not have to unlock, as do locked breech design pistols. Blowback designs are simple and more accurate than designs using a recoiling, tilting, or articulated barrel, but they are limited practically by the weight of the slide. The 9A, 18mm cartridge is a practical cartridge in blowback-operated pistols, producing a respectable level of energy from a gun of moderate weight and size. The PM is heavy for its size by modern U.S. commercial handgun standards, largely because in a blowback pistol the heavy slide provides greater inertia to delay opening of the breech until internal pressures have fallen to a safe level. Other, more powerful cartridges have been used in blowback pistol designs, but the Makarov is widely regarded as particularly well balanced in its design elements. The PM has a free-floating firing pin, with no firing pin spring or firing pin block. This allows the possibility of accidental firing if the pistol is dropped on its muzzle. Designer Makarov thought the firing pin of insufficient mass to constitute a major danger. The Makarov is notable for the safety elements of its design, with a safety that simultaneously blocks the hammer from contacting the firing pin and returns the weapon to the long trigger pull mode of double action when that safety is engaged. This is one of a number of different types of safety mechanism generally referred to as manual safety in order to distinguish it from safeties that are disengaged by the user in the course of firing a gun without manipulation of a separate safety control. A slide-mounted lever has some safety advantages, though there is argument over whether the extra manipulation required can be a risk, especially when the lever is not positioned in an ergonomic manner. Small Walther pistols, such as the PPK, are of a similar type to the Makarov. When handled properly, the Makarov has excellent security against accidental discharge caused by inadvertent pressure on the trigger, for example, in carrying the weapon in dense brush or reholstering it. However, the heavy trigger weight in double action mode decreases accuracy. the Bulgarian model Makarov was approved for sale in California, having passed a state-mandated drop safety test. Other notable features of the PM are its simplicity and economy of parts. Many do more than one task, for example, the trigger guard is also the takedown lever, the one-piece slide stop is also the ejector, and the sear spring also is the slide stop return spring. Similarly, the main spring powers the hammer and the trigger, while its lower end is the heel of the European-style magazine catch. Makarov pistol parts seldom break with normal usage, and are easily replaced using few tools. Operation: the Makarov has a DA-SA operating system. After loading and charging the pistol by pulling back the slide, it can be fired single action, or carried with the hammer down and the safety engaged. To fire after the safety has been engaged, the slide-mounted safety lever is pushed down to the fire position, after which the shooter squeezes the trigger to fire the gun. The action of squeezing the trigger for the first shot after disengaging the safety also cocks the hammer, an action requiring a long, strong squeeze of the trigger. The hammer may also be cocked manually, allowing a more accurate single-action shot after disengaging the safety. The firing and cycling of the action recocks the hammer for subsequent shooting. Fired single action with a short, light trigger squeeze. The PM's operation is semi-automatic, firing as quickly as the shooter can squeeze the trigger. Spent cartridges are ejected to the shooter's right and rear, some 5.5 or 6 meters away. When the safety is engaged, the hammer drops from the cocked position. The safety lever has a notch that blocks the hammer from striking the firing pin. The PM standard magazine holds 8 rounds. After firing the last round, the slide locks open. After inserting a loaded magazine, the slide is closed by activating a lever on the left side of the frame or by withdrawing it to release the slide catch. Either action loads a cartridge to the chamber. When engaged, the PM safety lever switch blocks the hammer from striking the rear end of the firing pin. The magazine releases on the heel of the hand grip. This is designed to avoid its snagging in clothes, and the accidental, premature release of the magazine. This type of premature magazine release had plagued the Makarov's precursor, the Tokarev TT-30 pistol. Variants. The Makarov was manufactured in several communist countries during the Cold War and afterwards. Apart from the USSR itself, they were East Germany, Bulgaria, China and post-unification Germany, which also found itself with several thousand XGD Makarov pistols. The most widely known variant, the Makarov PMM, was a redesign of the original gun. In 1990, a group of engineers reworked the original Makarov, primarily by increasing the load for the cartridge. The result is a significant increase in muzzle velocity and generation of 25% more gas pressure. The PMM magazine holds 12 rounds, compared to the PM's 8 rounds. Versions that held 10 rounds were produced in greater quantities than the 12-round magazine. The Makarov PMM is able to use existing Makarov cartridges and has other minor modifications such as an improved hand grip as well as threaded grooves in the chamber. A silenced version of the Makarov, the PB, was developed for use by reconnaissance groups and the KGB, with an integral suppressor. An experimental variant of the Makarov, the TKB-023, was designed with a polymer frame to reduce the weight and costs of the weapon. It had passed Soviet military trials but was never fielded, due to concerns about the polymer's capacities for long-term storage and use. Countries like India, Poland and Hungary have developed their own handgun designs that use the 9A, 18mm round. Hungary developed the FEGPA-63 and Poland has developed the P-64 and the P-83 1AD. While similar in appearance to the PM, and chambered for the same round, these 9A Makarov firing pistols are often found labeled at gun shows by some U.S. gun retailers as Polish Makarovs, and Hungarian Makarovs. Nonetheless, these similar designs are independent of the PM and have more in common with the Walther PP. A wide variety of aftermarket additions and replacements exist for the Makarov, including replacement barrels, custom grips, custom finishes and larger sights with various properties to replace the notoriously small originals. A scope-light mount exists for the Makarov but requires a threaded replacement barrel. Baikal is a brand developed by IGP around which a series of shotgun products were developed from 1962. After the collapse of the USSR, commercial gun manufacture was greatly expanded under the Baikal brand. During the 1990s, Baikal marketed various Makarov handguns in the United States under the IJ-70 model. Included were handguns in both standard and high-capacity frames. They were available in .380 ACP in addition to the standard 9mm Makarov round. Some minor modifications were made to facilitate importation into the United States, including the replacement of the rear fixed sight with an adjustable sight. A sporting version is the Baikal 442. Voluntary agreements later restricted importation of small arms from Russia to the United States. The Baikal IZH-79-8 is a modified version of the standard Makarov, with an 8mm barrel, modified to allow it to fire gas cartridges. These guns proved popular after the fall of the USSR, and were used in Eastern European for personal protection. However, unlike most gas-firing guns, the body is made of standard Makarov specification steel, and hence this gun is popular with criminals due to its low cost of purchase and ease of boring out to fire standard 9mm rounds. Users are Afghanistan, Albania, Angola, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Bulgaria. Copy pistols were produced. Belarus, China, adopted by the People's Liberation Army in 1959 as the Type 59. Produced locally with minor cosmetic differences. Chinese Makarovs are made from milled forgings and all the metal parts are salt-blued. Cuba, East Germany, copy pistols were produced. Eritrea, Estonia, Ethiopia, Georgia, Iraq, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Laos, Latvia, Lithuania, Macedonia, Malta, Moldova, Mongolia, Mozambique, Nicaragua, North Korea, Soviet Union, Russia, Syria, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Vietnam. See also, 9A, 18mm Makarov, Izhevsk Mechanical Plant, Makarov, MP448 Skype, List of Russian weaponry, references. Bibliography, The History and Development of Imperial and Soviet Russian Military Small Arms and Ammunition 1700 Euro 1986 written by Frederick A. Datig, Kokalis, Peter. Weapons Tests and Evaluations, The Best of Soldier of Fortune. Boulder, Colorado, USA, Paladin Press. ISBN A978-1-58160-122-0. External links, Modern Firearms, Makarov PM/PMM/IZH71, Pistol Makarov 9mm, Manufacturer, History, Technical Data, Classification, Handling, Ammunition, Manuals, Makarov Pictorial, Technical Data, Instructional Images and Diagrams of the Makarov Pistol.